Deleted session, June 9, 1981. Now, there are violent redistributions of energy going on with Ruber's body, reorganizations in which energy patterns are realized. Highly important. This does indeed mean change at other levels of activity. The sinful self not only loosening its hold, but relinquishing some of the energy that it had withheld and replaced, so that the energy becomes available, practically speaking, for the body's use once again. This does occur in instance, periods of assimilation being usually, though not inevitably necessary. I do want to make some comments about the sinful self in general, and how it is perceived and assimilated in, say, Castaneda's work and in the belief structure of Kubler-Ross. Both represent systems of belief quite different from our own material in many respects. It is important to realize that in usual terms, even great visions need not agree with each other, for they are each viewing experience from a highly concentrated, yet uniquely individual standpoint. They each see reality from a different angle, and thus create a different view. It is of vital importance, however, for overall clarification that a belief system recognizes itself as such. Otherwise, it becomes another closed system of thought, based in absolutism and doomed to the weakness of dogma. The Castanedan system accepts the power of evil, for example, presenting a framework in which those people who do accept such power can confront it, along with a system of exercises and beliefs meant to minimize evil's effects. In a fashion, that particular approach, for all of its reliance upon sorcery, is not actually true to the magical approach at all, because it insists so fervently upon the impediments that stand in man's way, and stresses the importance of rituals and methods, and the almost superhuman effort that is required in order to meet the magical ends. Spontaneity is not trusted, and left alone, the spontaneous self is seen as slothful, given to the pursuit of meaningless pleasure. To some extent, the spontaneous self and the sinful self wear the same mask or bear the same face. It goes without saying that the framework is male-oriented, but even then, the male is really no adequate male unless he becomes a warrior and pushes himself to perform against the powers of darkness on the one hand and against self on the other. The system does not practically approach any lively sympathy for the masses of mankind, or any particular understanding of the more mundane events that mark man's daily ways. Kubler-Ross does not believe as deeply in the existence of evil forces, but is convinced of the importance and the necessity of suffering in one way or another as an important means of achieving a good end, because your world is built around a certain tried acceptance of beliefs so thoroughly. It usually seems as if reality as you perceive it is the one that must be inevitably perceived, while all others have the status of hallucinatory visions at the very best. As I have tried to explain, however, your assumptions about reality do indeed form it. You may literally perceive certain elements of consciousness in a personified form, as spirit guides, angels, or even as gods and goddesses. You may perceive them instead merely as undefined and undefinable veiled qualities of thought, ever elusive and unformed, or as sacred physical portions of the earth, or as charged physical objects. Overall, it is short-sighted to say that one kind of such perception is truer than the other or more or less factual than the other. The existence of physical objects could be a highly debatable subject in other realities than your own. For example, the spirit guides our perceptions of other kinds of psychological and psychic activity. In some cases, your station of reality automatically transforms them to fit the patterns of your beliefs. They can be dealt with at that level, but that level is to some extent now a superficial one, relatively speaking. Kubler-Ross's system is still highly tinged by beliefs in the permanent necessity not just in the existence of suffering, but that it must, for all of its stress upon hope, and up to a large degree in stressing certain aspects of suffering and martyrdom. Visions of an entirely different nature, seemingly saying different things, can still be highly legitimate visions, leading in fact by different routes toward other larger reconciliations. It will be useful if Ruber remembers this when he views other systems of reality. You make your own reality in 1,000 times. You put together psychological events in various ways. You merge what is seemingly fiction or fantasy with what is seemingly factual. From those elements, you form your picture of the world. Now, in politics and religion, Ralph noted, Prime Minister, they said, Begin believes it much more practical to deal with the sinful self and its evil prerogatives than he does with the better self that may indeed represent the Son of God in man. He is not waiting around, therefore, by relying upon or over-relying upon, in his view, man's good intent. The sinful self is convinced of its own evil and the evil intent of others, and so it is driven to protect itself ahead of time. Like most of your allies, it is taken for granted that nuclear plants will ultimately be used in the manufacture of bombs that will ultimately certainly be used in a destructive fashion. At that level, therefore, Begin destroys a nuclear factory before its damage can be done. God helps those who help themselves. May I say, sardonically, is the belief behind such actions. Now Ruber's body is responding very well, and the material we have given on the sinful self and other subjects is being assimilated. Your lives, of course, reflect redistributions of energy constantly. That is apparent in your activities at all levels. At such times, hints and clues from framework too often become more than usual available. So keep your eyes open for them. End of session, unless you have a political question. Ralph said, I wasn't going to ask this tonight, but earlier today I found myself wondering how much of Jane's symptoms result from my own attitudes and statements about Prentice. She said, the subject matter is too large to begin with this evening. Bring it to my attention by stating the question. Ralph said, I wasn't going to ask this tonight, but earlier today I found myself wondering how much of Jane's symptoms result from my own attitudes and statements about Prentice. I guess I now think she reacted to my ideas little more than I realized. She said, the subject matter is too large to begin with this evening. Bring it to my attention by stating the question before our next session. Now I bid you a fine and hearty good evening. Ralph said, thank you, good night.